Welcome back to Alpha Recap, your after-hours market debrief from stockalpha.ai. Great to have you with us. As always, if you have questions, you can reach us at stockalpha.ai.
Big day to unpack. Markets closed with pockets of strength. We saw gains in tech and some pretty targeted leadership. Lots to get into.
Let's dive right in. The headline that set the tone was Marvell announcing it would buy Celestial AI for $5.5 billion. That moved the narrative toward optical interconnects across data centers.
Right. That was the single biggest market signal today. It wasn't just another acquisition. It was basically a mature chip maker waving a flag that the industry is serious about moving from copper to optics.
So, what really stands out here is the urgency implied by the price tag. Paying $5.5 billion sends a message to customers, hyperscalers and cloud providers, that optical capacity is being prioritized.
I mean, when you step back and look at this, AI workloads and large language models have exploded bandwidth needs. Photonics lowers power per bit and packs more bandwidth into the same rack. It's very practical.
And that elevated optimism lifted a whole ecosystem. Chip makers, transceiver makers, startups supplying lasers and modulators. But the move also brought up execution risk.
Integration isn't trivial. Scaling photonics requires foundry relationships, testing ecosystems, and long customer qualification cycles. The acquisition accelerates the conversation, but it doesn't erase supply chain or integration hurdles.
Exactly. Honestly, I was a bit surprised by this one.
Same. It was bold, and bold transactions tend to force follow-on research by customers and suppliers, so keep an eye on which laser and silicon photonics suppliers start getting more attention.
Quick interruption here. Some concrete names from the day. IDEX and Avnet had notable 6-month runs. IDEX was up about 24%, trading around $206, and Avnet rose about 23% and finished near $67.
Yeah, that tracks. Those were earnings and guidance-driven rallies. IDEX showed clearer order cadence in its industrial markets, and Avnet saw distributor margin stabilization. Momentum, basically.
But momentum raises the investor question. Is this cyclical rebound or structural improvement? For long-term holders, you need to dig into margin trends and free cash flow before deciding.
Short take? Traders loved it. Long-onlys had to reassess valuation. Big move.
Switching gears. Aristotle's growth equity fund disclosed a higher allocation to Dexcom and trimmed Linda in its fourth quarter filings. That felt like a useful signal about manager rotation.
Right. And the other thing is that move is emblematic of active managers fine-tuning exposures. Adding Dexcom signals conviction in continuous glucose monitoring as a durable health tech growth theme. Selling Lindy could be profit-taking or a shift away from cyclicals.
There was some debate in the coverage, whether that sale of Linda was just rebalancing after a strong fourth quarter for cyclicals, or a deeper change in conviction. Without granular explanation in the fund letter, it remains open to interpretation.
Short reactions. Not what anyone expected. Interesting.
Another theme, information flow. We saw a flurry of Form 8K filings today. Companies like EW Scripps, BioCryst, Innovis, Satara, and some closed-end and lending names. These filings often hide the real meat.
Totally. Form 8K exhibits and Regulation FD disclosures can be market-moving. People who only read summaries miss the line item details that change the financial picture or reveal covenant language.
So, what really stands out here is read the filings. If you own a name, open the 8K. The exhibits sometimes show revenue recognition changes, related party notes, or forward guidance that didn't make the headline.
A different but related data point was the retail crypto angle. Bybit EU promoted a 3% APY product called Bigger Return, Shorter Hold across the EEA. It's a reminder crypto platforms are pitching yield alternatives to cash.
And that 3% APY isn't nothing for retail investors. But institutional cash managers compare it to short-term treasuries and money market yields. So it's interesting, but context matters.
Yeah, and folks should be mindful of counterparty and regulatory differences. Crypto-backed yields are not the same as bank deposits or T-bills.
Let's pull all of this together for different investor types. For long-term growth investors, the optical transition and certain medtech stories like Dexcom look like durable opportunities. But timing, integration, and scale are gating factors.
For value and income investors, the takeaways were different. The Aristotle trade and 8K filings flagged rotation away from some cyclicals. If you own industrials, you should focus on cash conversion and dividend sustainability.
Event-driven traders had to be nimble today. IDEX and Avnet were momentum plays, and biotech names can be binary. If you trade clinical stories, size positions carefully and predefine your exits.
Credit investors should also pay attention to the 8Ks. Covenants, debt issuance details, and exhibits in those filings can affect credit profiles quickly.
A few practical next steps we recommended. 1. For optical exposure, prioritize companies with visible customer adoption and scalable foundry relationships. 2. Validate whether earnings momentum is repeatable. Dig into backlog, margins, and guidance. 3. Make reading 8Ks a habit.
And 4. Size biotech and event-driven names conservatively. Clinical catalysts can swing two ways. 5. Re-examine position sizing when you see public fund rebalances like Aristotle's moves, but don't treat them as automatic buy or sell triggers.
Bottom line. Today was unified by selective conviction. Marvell's $5.5 billion bet on photonics set a strategic tone. And we saw fund reallocations, earnings-led leadership, and lots of filings that required careful reading.
The market was signaling opportunity, but also reminding investors that due diligence matters. Optical infrastructure and continuous glucose monitoring look promising, but execution and clinical confirmation are the gating factors.
Final quick takeaways. Prioritize visible customer wins, validate momentum beyond headlines, and read the filings. Simple, but effective.
If you have questions about anything we covered today, head to stockalpha.ai, where you can ask us directly and we'll answer live. For more market analysis and insights, visit stockalpha.ai.
Thanks for listening to Alpha Recap. We'll be back after the next market close with more analysis. Reach out at stockalpha.ai and don't forget the Q&A feature there if you want us to dig into a specific name.